I'm Vanessa MacDonald with the Queensland Murray-Darling Committee. I'm the Regional Soil Conservation Officer based in Toowoomba, and we mostly do erosion work across border rivers and the Marin Ballon. Erosion is detrimental for lots of reasons. It can threaten infrastructure like fence lines, access tracks, watering points. It can be dangerous to stock crossing those gully lines, and it also eats away at some of their valuable soils.
The battering technique is a technique where we get a dozer operator to actually strip off the topsoil from a gully head. We then batter the gully head down to make a ramp out of the subsoil. Once the dozer operator's done that, we actually bring the topsoil back over that area, and hopefully that will make the restoration process a lot quicker. It's effective because we actually use the material on site. Most of the landholders think it's a reasonably simple method to use. It's reasonably cost effective, and it's also something that's within their reach. They don't actually have to get a professional in, and it's something that they can achieve.
We're at Carinya, which is about 60 k's east of Gundawindi towards Marin. They had a fairly large gully erosion on site. So here we've used a battering technique, so stockpiling the topsoil, and then the dozer comes in and batters the gully head down at a ramp 1 to 10, and then spreading the topsoil back over so that there's a seedbed for grasses to grow.
The gully head erosion occurs on good soil and bad soil. It was thought to be caused by overgrazing, but there's other reasons why it occurs. So yes, it can occur in all sorts of soils. We actually try and imitate what Mother Nature's doing. So what we're trying to do is create a ramp out of earth and grass, and it's also very simple, so most people can get it constructed or get it done without too much extra help, I suppose.
There are two other sites that Landcare looked at. This was the worst one. It was like a mini waterfall, and of course the more the water falls, the more it erodes. We got onto it straight away and got the contractor as soon as we could. It was a very quick process. The Queensland Murray-Darling Committee were really good to work with, very easy to cooperate and knew what was wanted, and were quickly able to get to the bottom of it and decide what needed to be done. Very efficient operator. He was here for 3 days, I think. After the dozer had finished, I got a little seeder. I had some grass seed in the shed. There was a bit of silt, roads and creeping blue. We dragged a piece of railway iron behind it. Went quite well and levelled it out nicely.
So after the 2 major flood events that we had in 2011-2012, we found that there was a lot of erosion widespread across our region. So we've adopted this practice from here at Carinya back to Marin, Miles and Roma. We're at Robin Brosner's place, which is about 20 k's south of Marin. The site was a really deep gully, probably at least 3 metres deep. It went for 100 metres long, and I'd say probably about 6 metres across. And it was eating back up the gully line and threatening the fence lines and some roads. The work was undertaken after summer, so once all the storms had passed, and I think she spent approximately about 20 hours at this site.
At the end of 2010, the erosion was a major concern because I'd had probably about 650 mil of rain over 3 months, so the soil was just saturated, and so every time it rained, the gully would run. As the water was heading over into the gully, which was small to start with, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and deeper and deeper. So I was losing valuable grazing country, as well as all the soil that was being washed further down towards the dam. I eventually came up with a plan and decided that it needed to be battered and form a dish and spread the water. So the dozer arrived in April. He worked on the gully for probably about 25 hours. For me, it was then I harrowed the gully, and then I walked around and I spread oat seed, Rhodes grass and creeping blue bisset.
This project is unique just because it was really well done by Robin using the battering technique. Robin spent a lot of time monitoring the site, so even after a rainfall event when there were early signs of wash starting to happen, she went back in and repaired those. She followed the principles to the letter and put a lot of effort into the rehabilitation after the earthworks were done, which has given it really good ground cover, which has meant it's been really successful. So one of the other important aspects of this technique is fencing the area, but also moving fences. So if you want to do the battering technique correctly, you need to move any fences that are in the way so that you can get the right ratio, and fencing it to keep stock out to allow the ground cover to get away, and then managing it differently to the rest of your paddocks. So we're at Bernard Taylor's place at Wingari Park, which is 20 kilometres south of Marin. What we're looking at here is an area that was eroded away. It's a natural drainage line that the dam bywashes into. So the dam was bywashing and water was coming around and falling into a gully head, which was cutting slowly back up the paddock. The dozer came in and battered that down and levelled it all out and reinstated the natural watercourse for probably about 200 metres. And so we've put the waterway banks either side just to contain the water within that area, so it spreads out nice and slowly and travels down back into the natural watercourse. The long-term benefits are within the property but also for the catchment, so it's going to decrease the amount of soil that's eroded. It's also going to help Bernard have a more productive area, so he can now utilise this area as a separate paddock, manage it and graze it and have a bit of production off it. It'll also help reduce the amount of silt in his dams, which will mean he'll have better capacity during the dry times and cleaner water.
To make this a success, I followed on with, after we had the dozer here to level the ground up and make the waterways wider, I added pig manure on top of it with the spreader and spread the grass on there and harrowed that in and put a fence around it, keep the stock off it for a while to get the grass established. I recommend these sort of projects to be done by all farmers to stop soil erosion for further down the track and for future generations to rejuvenate the grasses and better for your land.
We consider the battering technique to be doable, achievable and simple by most landholders and dozer operators.
Queensland Murray-Darling Committee can offer support with technical advice, so giving landholders a start point of how to tackle the erosion, as well as advice with the contractors on the principles and follow through support through the whole process.